I don't want to fill the space, I want to create the space. These are nail polish holders. I will say this about this kind of shelf. It's pretty versatile. So this display I got on Amazon and I could not believe how cheap it was. The bugs are bugging. There's people staring at me. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I'm on my way to set up for a huge 3-day festival and I want to bring you along to show you my full setup, full display. I want to share the displays that I've DIY'd myself, that I've purchased, where I purchased them, and everything in between. I'm also about an hour and a half late to actually getting started. The event is an hour from my house, but we had trailer problems this morning. By we, thankfully, my husband came home super late last night. He flew in a day early, which was wonderful because I would not have the trailer on the truck right now if he wasn't home because there was some electrical problems. It's an older trailer. It was my grandfather's before he passed, and the electrical is beyond my expertise. If you're new here, hi, I'm Brittany. I run Ginger Patch Designs out of my home, all while doing mommy and wifey things, which I'm also going to share what my market prep actually looks like as far as all the mommy and wifey things on top of that, because there's so much personal family prep and planning involved when it comes to these huge 3-day festivals. So we're gonna chat about that as well. Okay guys, I just got checked in. I don't know why I'm whispering. I'm in the truck by myself, but it is already busy. I'm so excited because I lucked out. I pulled the truck up next to the side of this building that is as close to my spot as possible. So we're gonna be footing it to the spot back and forth, but this is much better than having to resort to the vendor parking all the way in the back lot, which would truly be a workout. But before we dive into that, I want to say a special thank you to today's sponsor, which is Craftsy. Craftsy is an online resource for all things creative. You've probably heard me talk about Craftsy's skill building categories such as baking, crocheting, painting, sewing, etc. But did you know that Craftsy also has a collection of resources specifically for handmade small business owners? For example, when you go to classes and click on photography, it has several of more specific categories over here that you might be looking for, and there is a craft business specific category. And this class in particular caught my attention, the Flat Lay Your Life by Brooke Lark. She does a really great job going over how to create the perfect flat lay to highlight your products. Or this one by Jessica Marquez, the product photography at home. She goes in depth on how to set up your camera, all of this lingo that is basically a different language to some of us, and how to work with what you have with lighting around your home to create really great photos. If you want to get really specific on things just for your craft business, go to the Craftsy homepage and search craft business and you'll be so surprised what comes up. There's all kinds of tips for selling your crafts, how to sell at craft fairs, how to teach it. This class in particular is for people like me who want to teach others how to do our craft. Whether you're a seasoned creative looking to try something new or completely new to crafting and aren't sure where to get started, Craftsy has libraries of classes, patterns, recipes, and articles waiting for you to dive in. The first 1,000 people to use my link will get a full year of premium membership to Craftsy for only $1.49. Now back to the market vlog. Thank you to Craftsy for sponsoring this video. Now let's get set up. So one thing I like that this event does is they spray paint your number so we can find our booth space. And then this is how far I have to walk to the truck. My truck is on the other side of that truck, so that's not that bad. This will be all full of vendors by tomorrow. So there's not a lot of great camera angles here because the sun keeps coming through the trees. But we lucked out our first year back here last year because our booth is right under a tree, and not a walnut tree like the tent behind us. One of my new favorite things that I've been so excited to show everyone is my tent. This thing is so sturdy and we were able to keep the top on it and it still fit in the bag pretty easily. It wasn't even a snug fit. It came with sidewalls and most importantly, don't mind my panting, I'm out of shape. I can put this thing up by myself. Watch. I was able to put this up in like less than 3 minutes. I absolutely love that I can put this up by myself. It was not hard to click everything into place. If you want to get your hands on a quick tent, make sure you click the link down in the description below to save some money. So this is what we're working with from the back of the tent. This will all be filled up with other vendors by tomorrow, but this is the hot mess that it looks like before we start putting it together. I tell you what, the bugs and the critters are already having a heyday. So this particular event, I don't have any problems leaving my stuff overnight because they do provide overnight security. I mean, obviously in your contract, they state that they're not responsible for anything, should anything happen to your stuff, but they do have security that patrols overnight, and everyone puts their sidewalls up. And honestly, there's so many people here, so many vendors, and like park rangers and just patrolling people that it's really never been a problem. I don't know that I've ever heard of anyone having stuff stolen. I'm putting 2 tablecloths on because like the ones I have aren't long enough to cover both sides, and this table is going to be visible, the back side of this table is going to be visible on the other side, and so I'm just going to use some of my clamps in my handy dandy toolbox to clamp those down. This bamboo shelf I got at a thrift store. If I can remember how to do it, it's a little tricky. I got it for $10 at a thrift store, and I was so oh, it's backwards, that's why it looks weird. As soon as I saw it, immediately I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have it. I just have to be careful putting it in the trailer that it doesn't get broken, because obviously it will get broken very easily. I did splurge on a new banner, and I'm absolutely obsessed with it. I think it looks so good. It did require me to like redo how I do my booth at this event, because last year I had my checkout stand like over here on the left, and I've moved it over here so that it doesn't obstruct my banner. Oh my gosh, I think a man packed these in here, my word. If you are getting bungee cords for your banner, make sure you get the ends that aren't plastic. They're too thick. I almost made that mistake, and so I had to order these on Amazon, and they're the smaller hooks. My intention was to be able to put that like right, oh, it's still kind of blocking it a little bit. Okay, maybe that's not gonna work. So this display I got on Amazon, and I could not believe how cheap it was for what you get. It's very, very lightweight. It's supposed to be a clothing rack. I honestly have not tried clothes on it to see if it's sturdy enough, but it's so light that it's the last thing I put in my trailer. I just set it on top of everything else, and it works. I feel like if I put it under other things, it might, you know, get bent or something, because these are hollow. It's very, very light, but it is perfect for showcasing my tote bags. And these hooks I got on Amazon. I actually bought a second pack for some of my bigger shows where I want to put out more of the tote bags. And again, anything I got on Amazon, I'll try to make sure I link everything down in the description below in case you want to get your hands on some of it. Okay, I purposely made some with longer straps, and so the longer ones are going to go on the back. And I just realized I didn't completely finish this, but I can do it when I get home. I made a like quilted tote bags sign to hang on this, but I need to punch holes in it so I can hang it up properly, and like hang it on the end of the display down here. I'm gonna hang some of the more colorful, attention grabbing ones down here on the end. The only thing is, these hooks, I foresee some of them ending up on the ground, so I'm gonna have to check the ground before we leave to make sure I don't leave some of them behind. I also got more hooks because I want to be able to hang some of these hobby totes like around the top of the tent. Oh, that's gonna look so good, but I'm not gonna do that until the morning. I think I'm just, oops, there went one on the ground just now. I'm not gonna lay these out until the morning because I have to put the sidewalls up. Actually, I bet, ooh. No, that blocks the banner. We're not gonna do that. I guess I could hang a few of them up and just tuck them inside the sidewall. Yeah, we're gonna try that. So this is a 3-sided, it's like a huge shutter display that was actually given to me, but a friend of mine that gave it to me made it for her mother's shop when she still owned it, and I think she literally just put hinges on all the sides and made it herself. It's missing a few slats, but I'm gonna try to make it to where my magnetic bookmarks are like covering these up. This side over here is not missing any, and so depending on where you're standing, you can see some that are missing or not. And then these are from my grid walls. I think part of the reason it's taking me longer to set up, there's people staring at me. It's okay. The reason it's taking me longer to set up is because I'm not doing grid walls anymore. I feel like when we create our tent space, we are creating like our boutique. Like, we don't have a brick and mortar, so this is our opportunity to really showcase and represent our brand. And so again, I didn't start with all of these things. It took a long time to really like get somewhat of a cohesive thing going. But the reason that I didn't like the grid walls was not just because they were heavy and they're clunky, and when you're setting it by yourself, it's like a lot. I felt like they were just filling the space. And to me, I don't want to fill the space, I want to create the space. Not to sound dramatic, but there is a difference. Like, when you're creating your space for customers to come shop, you're creating a space for them to come experience your brand. I'm not the only person that makes tote bags. I'm not the only person that makes bookmarks or stickers or makeup bags, right? But like, I want them to come shop with me because they resonate with me. So I hope that makes sense and that doesn't sound like totally wonky. Oh my gosh, it's getting hot. The bugs are bugging. So yeah, these particular hooks, I have 2 different kinds of hooks, and it just so happened that these were like skinny enough that they just fit over the little slats. The only thing about this was, and here's the trade-off, you know, like, I'm getting a lot of this stuff like super cheap and I'm fixing it up, but I have to be careful when I'm transporting it because they'll get damaged. So I was so afraid of losing more slats. It didn't go on the very top in the trailer, but I did wrap it up in like some old blankets and stuff just to protect it. And all that I put on top of it was the pink rack that the tote bags are on. I think when you're first packing up to go to an event, you're like really meticulous and you're really careful. It's when you're packing up to leave that you're like, you're done, you're hot, you're tired, you're hungry, and you're like wanting to throw it all in the trailer. And that's when you really need to be careful that you don't break anything. If you've ever had a poor vendor experience, I wanted to share this. This is a perfect example. We've all had poor vendor experiences if you've done markets before, right? I told you where I parked the truck and trailer, and I was so excited because like my greatest fear is I'm gonna get pinned in somewhere that I cannot back up the trailer. I know, don't come for me in the comments, okay? I know what my skills are, and I will 100% foot it from a field away than risk not being able to back up my trailer. Okay, so I pull into my spot and there's like people on 4-wheelers all over the place, like asking if you need help, and they're helping other people find their spots. They're just here to help the event. And one of them pulled up and was like, you know, you can like drive over there to your spot and it's not very far. And I was like, no, it's okay. I can't back up the trailer. And he just kind of chuckled and went on. Well, one of the other vendors across from that was like right there, he was like, you know, I couldn't help it overhearing, but like, we'll totally back up your truck for you. And I was like, thanks. He was super nice and super appreciative. I was almost done unloading anyways, but that's just like an example of most vendor people are like really great, helpful people. I need to like anchor this somehow. Oh, that's not gonna work. Bungee cords. This is why we have to bring a toolbox, y'all. If anyone has a better solution for bungee storage than this monstrosity of a canister, please let me know down in the comments, because that is not gonna work. Oh, well, it's not gonna like completely keep it from knocking over. Looks like a job for Mr. GPD. I have to say, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. These are just wood crates that I spray painted from, I think I got it from Walmart or Joann's, I can't remember. And I usually have them like upright, and then I put PVC pipe, and that's how I display the apparel. I'm not an apparel business. I just have it like as a supplement. It sells fairly well at markets, but I'm doing something different. I want to utilize more independent displays than tabletop displays. And so I have my sample wall here that I made that I'll show you in just a second. And then this is where I'm going to keep all of the rolled and rubber banded sizes. Also, if it feels like really, really cramped right now, it's because I have to keep everything in because I'm gonna put the sidewalls up. But tomorrow on the next installment of this vlog, I will show you like how I spread everything out, and it will create a flow of traffic in and out of the booth. Every time I say I made something, just know that 80 to 90% of it my husband did. So this is the ladder wall, and I have this sample apparel at home, but I will put each sample like down the ladder rung, and I'll clip them so people can see what apparel I have, and then the sizes will be in here, except they'll be like over here outside the booth, and I need to get another crate to put on top of here. This is something I absolutely love, and it takes up a lot of space, and my husband's like, did you seriously have me make this just for stickers? But hear me out. It's an attention getter, okay? It's a huge easel that I made mine with 2x4 just plywood. I got the idea from, I think her handle is Can You Believe It, KYN. She makes like journals and like positivity, mental health, that kind of thing. And except she used pegboard in hers. I specifically wanted plywood, and I got these are nail polish holders, and I had my handy dandy husband measure, and they fit right here like this, and then my stickers can go in here like this, and they have little holders right here to keep your stickers from falling out. The only thing is, like, if it's super windy, nothing's gonna save it from the wind. But I really like how these are clear, and so it doesn't take away from the color of the pink display. And it looks really cramped in here right now, like I said, but I will put this just outside the booth, but not obstructing the walkway. And then I'll show you what we're gonna do with the other side as soon as I get the stickers put up. I got this container at Harbor Freight, and I think it was like not even $10. And these little things are removable, so you can make it as big or as small as you want. And I just stick all my stickers in there when I go to markets. So because putting up stickers are kind of a mindless activity, let's talk about all the mom stuff and wifey stuff that I have to remember to do just to make a show like this actually happen. So starting last weekend, I would start like making sure I'm prepping enough food, like making extra bread and putting it in the freezer, making sure I have plenty of snacks made and on hand, like extra granola bars, extra crackers, like all kinds of stuff. I make a lot of stuff from scratch. Like, we still buy store-bought snacks and stuff, but like I'd say it's about 50-50. I'm working towards making more from scratch. So the things that I do make from scratch, I was working on some of those. And then also just throughout this week, I cannot tell you the amount of like staying on top of laundry, cleaning, just staying on top of the typical weekly things, but also the weekend things, because we're not doing any of that this weekend. And then my husband literally has to leave out super early in the morning on Monday. He's gonna help me all weekend and then has to leave super early for work. And so there's not gonna be any time for the house stuff, is what I'm saying. So it has been some really long days this week. I even set timers to like make sure I go collect the chicken eggs in the evenings, because I will forget to do that. Now, if you're not new here, I'm sure you're wondering, because I homeschool my daughter, like, what's your daughter gonna do on Friday? She's coming with us. She's coming, and she's super excited about it. I don't think she fully understands like that she's gonna be here all day. Like, there's no TV or anything. There is cell signal out here right now, but the more congested it becomes, there is no signal whatsoever. And when I first did this event years ago, there was no Wi-Fi, there was nothing. So you had to run, if you didn't have something mobile that was not Verizon, because that's the tower that gets congested, you had to run offline sales. They actually told me when I was checking in earlier that they did, there's a new tower and they're offering like better Wi-Fi this year, so hopefully that won't be an issue. But like, this is really what goes through my mind when I'm preparing for events like this. I've done this particular event before, so I understand how it works. But like, if you've never been to this event before, you don't understand just how congested it gets. There's only 2 ways in and out of this place, and the other way is from like Timbuktu. I don't think that many people really come in that way from the Lake County side. Like, this is Tiptonville, Tennessee. Like, it's out in the boonies, okay? It's Reelfoot Lake, if you're familiar with West Tennessee. And so when I say traffic gets congested for like 2 hours coming in, I'm not being dramatic. It's been known to be more than that. The traffic is kind of infamous around here. Like, if you don't go early, you might as well just hang it up until the next day. And I'm sharing all that to say that plays into how we as a family plan what we're going to do with our daughter, because for just half a second, I told my husband, I was like, well, you could just, maybe you and her could like hang out in the morning for a little bit and then come later. He was like, no, we'd never make it. I was like, oh yeah, the traffic, you know. And another thing, if you have been a vendor here before, usually at really big events like this, they'll have vendor specific parking, but they block it off once the event starts. So even if my husband was able to come later, he can't get to the vendor parking. He would have to go pay to park, and even the paid parking is sparse. It fills up fast because it gets so congested. Parking is always a big issue here. So that was a really long-winded way of saying planning ahead when you have a child, when doing these events. Like, bringing her with us is not a big deal, but when we're going through all these scenarios of, you know, what are our options, that's what goes through my head. So with that, another thing that I've been planning this week is activities to bring for her to do. I'm sure Daddy will walk her around and buy her a bajillion snacks, even though we're bringing our own Snackle box. I don't know about y'all, but like, we bring a bunch of food to these events. Yes, we eat out. There's a lemonade stand that I just have to pay that $10 lemonade. It's so good. But I'm not trying to spend a few $100s on food, and it will easily happen between 2 or even 3 people. And I just feel like a slug when I eat that kind of food like all day for 3 days. Not to mention my hips will take a month to recover from those carbs. Now for the last one, I can't remember if we've had this for 1 or 2 years. There hasn't been anything on the other side of this. And that's why my husband was like, is this really just a sticker wall? But I couldn't decide what I wanted to put on the other side. But now I do. So I can't possibly fit all of them up here, but I want to hang my keychains and my keychain wallets up here. I started putting nails up here yesterday, and they need screws. I bought the screws yesterday, so when we get here tomorrow morning, Mr. GPD is going to teach me how to use the drill. That is not my kind of DIY. It's just not me. And so I've already measured out where the screws need to go. And so we'll get that done real quick in the morning and fill this up with keychains and keychain wallets. I will say this about this kind of shelf, 2 things. It's pretty versatile. You could put whatever slabs you wanted here, like I did plywood, you could do pegboard. It could be different heights. You could change the measurements to make it like a tabletop version. But I will say, whatever you do, get these kind of hinges. I will try to remember to put these in my Amazon storefront so you get the right ones. These are locking hinges, and they are going to keep you from pinching your fingers, to keep it from topping over. It is a heavy display, but I wanted it to be weighty because it's in front of the booth, and I don't want it, if a kid bumps into it or something, which has happened, it's not gonna knock over. It's just gonna kind of go like this. And so far, God willing, it has not fallen over. So this is actually like a tiered, I think it's for like your kitchen or just some kind of decor in your home. But I got that from a friend for $10, and I spray painted it. And then I'm not finished here. I bet when I come back tomorrow, I'll change this, but I was using this from my room as like a book stand. And these are the laptop sleeves. And I'm also using my bookmark holders. These are acrylic holders that I got on Amazon. I'm using those as bookends as well, kind of like right here. But this is what we're working with the bamboo stand, and I need to fill that hole. And then I put the book sleeves here. These might get moved over here. I'm not sure yet. And this is also another stand I got from a different friend, spray painted it for $10. I particularly like how it goes like this, and I had wanted to put it right here, kind of at the corner, but it blocks part of my banner, so I actually might end up taking that back to the truck. I feel like everything I say, I'm like, I got this from a friend, but I got this from a friend. And gave it a fresh coat of spray paint before I brought it. This is very wobbly, but it's still getting the job done. This is a stand I got at Five Below for 20 bucks, and you might recognize it. It's from my shop room at home, and I keep a lot of my shipping supplies on it, and every once in a blue moon, it serves a purpose at markets. I really thought I would have space for a clearance section, and I do. Again, this looks really cramped, but this is not going to be here in the morning. I'm gonna scoot this out, and then this will be more in the middle, like where the camera is right now. And so I have a whole bag here. I'm hoping to get rid of at least half of it this weekend. Again, there's nothing wrong with this stuff. I just need it out of my room. These are like skillet covers I made. Like there's a small and a large iron skillet cover, and then these are like hot tool covers for when you travel, and they did pretty well at markets last year, but it's like a random item I'm just trying to get rid of. Okay, so it took me about 30 minutes to set up the tent and unload the trailer, and it took me about another 2 hours to set all of this up. Oh, why am I out of breath? I'm just standing here. It's hot. I'm so glad I'm almost finished because there's some more vendors coming in and it's just getting like really, really busy. I'm gonna try to put up the sidewalls and get out of here. Feels good to have that done. So really all I'll need to do when I come in the morning is obviously like take down the sidewalls and put all the clamps back in the toolbox. I always keep my toolbox under the table at the events, just because if you leave it in the truck or in the car, like that's when you're gonna need something in it, a pair of scissors, a zip tie, something to save the day, right? And then drill holes in the back of my really big pink easel stand, which won't take very long. I'm hoping Mr. GPD will just do it for me. He keeps saying I need to learn to do more of these things, and he's not wrong, but he's just so much faster at it than me. And let's just say I'm super glad that I prepped some beef stew and some stuff in the fridge, because I do not feel like cooking when I get home. Friends, make sure you come back tomorrow for day 1 of the 3-day festival at Reelfoot Lake. Bye, friends.